Welcome to Ask Your Injury Lawyers, where we feature some of the country's top attorneys to address some of your top questions. And today's topic, I'm giving it away. I am not currently on a construction site, but yes, today's topic is centered around construction sites and all of the trades that service projects on a construction site. And to help us to answer some of these really important questions, we have one of the leading authorities in the areas of construction injuries and what's called labor law. And we would like to just welcome right now, Mark Freeley. Mark, welcome, my friend.
Hi, Rob. It's good to see you again.
Likewise. It seems like you're doing all right. Hopefully you're happy. You're safe. You're healthy. How are you doing?
I'm counting my blessings. I mean, so many people have it so hard out there that we have to really appreciate as lawyers that we are able to still do many of the things that we normally do. I mean, life is different, no doubt about it. In the legal world as well. Our brick and mortar building is closed down, but we have other ways to practice law, and we're doing it. We're having mediations virtually, and we're having depositions by Zoom. I am having court conferences via Skype. So things are happening. Just the wheels are moving slower than usual, but we are pushing cases as quickly as we can. I'm requesting virtual conferences from the judges. I just did one on Friday, and I finally got a response today, and I have a conference set for Tuesday. So that's not bad. So my client was very happy to hear that, I was still alive. There's still a pulse on the case, and it's still going to proceed forward. And I'm getting a lot of calls from people saying they're anxious. Yeah, of course they're going to be anxious that, what's going to happen to my case? Do I still have a case? And everything's going to be okay. I tell people, I spend a lot of time during the day just calming clients down, letting them know, listen, we're still here. The judges are still here. Your case is still here. And things are going to go back to normal. Just going to be a little lull in the action, and then we'll be back to a full court press. So that's what we're up to. But we're counting our blessings that we're able to do things. And so many of my friends and business people I know in business are just having such a hard time that I have no right to complain about my life right now.
Yeah, it really does put things in perspective. And we have heard this term so much now, and I know some people just want to move away from it, but this term pivoting, a lot of businesses are forced to pivot in how they work on their business and they work their business itself. Now, in the construction world, we're understanding that things in New York are starting to open up again. And the big question that everyone has now is not necessarily just when will we open up, but when we open up, what will that look like? How do we open up? Will job sites be different? Will there be an increased risk of injury? What are things that people should be aware of? And one question that came in, and Mark, I'm just going to fire right away if that's all right, is as construction reopens in New York, what are the top serious injury risks to workers?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be one of the main risks that we're always there. It's the time is money risk, right? Is that, so these general contractors and owners don't want to think about how is the best, most safe way to get the job done. It's always, what's the quickest way? We want it done yesterday. We want it done 2 weeks ago. And so, we don't have time to set up all this complex, time-consuming scaffolding and make sure that everybody has all the up-to-date and proper safety devices. We need to get the job done. So work on with what you have and get it done yesterday. And I think that's going to be the overriding concern going forward, especially once the gates of construction open up, is that think about all the delay that there's been and all the money that's already been lost by all these companies and the GCs and the owners that want these projects done so the project can start earning them money. Well, what are they going to want to do? they're going to want to get the project done as soon as possible. And that's my greatest fear, is that these construction sites are so dangerous to begin with, that once they start making these guys work like crazy fast without the proper protections, many more guys on the job and girls on the job are going to get injured. And that's the sad reality.
You know, you actually make a really great point. Is a lot of these construction companies are now behind. You know, we've been experiencing a pandemic now for, I think we're going on month number 3. That simply means that all of these job sites are 3 months behind. And, you know, and where these job sites are, in fact, you know, dangerous environments, you understand sort of the business end of it of, man, we've got to try to cut corners where we can to make up for those dollars lost. But I think it's really important for all of the GCs listening, the general contractors, is let's make sure that when you're making decisions now to reanalyze your finances, don't compromise the safety of your workers. And I know that you know, there's a temptation to do that right now.
Absolutely. And you know, we see it all the time, even before this happened. And now, you know, that's a real concern. And then people say, well, you know, the worker just needs to ask the superintendent or the job foreman, you know, can I have a better ladder? Can I have a ladder that has boots or the feet on the bottom? Can I have a scaffolding instead of this rickety ladder so I can do my job properly? And people think, oh yeah, you'll just ask for it and you'll get it. No, what happens? You get the title squeaky wheel. And, you know, you won't be working on that job site very long if you're the squeaky wheel. And so you got to, then they're forced to take the risk, because another part of it, Rob, is that not only has the owner of the building not been making money on this, not only has the general contractor not been making money, but think about it, the worker hasn't had a paycheck coming in.
Great point.
3 months, right? So can they afford to be the squeaky wheel? Absolutely not.
No.
And so what they're going to do, they're going to engage in the risky behavior because they have no option, because they're probably behind on their mortgage, their taxes, their credit card bills. They can't afford not to be working. So they're going to do everything that they need to do to get the job done.
That's a great point.
Safety or not.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is a really great point. I mean, we're all going to be putting ourselves in compromising positions because we've got bills to pay. Now, as far as when there's an injury on a construction site, I'm sure that you have a recommended sort of checklist, and to help us address this sort of checklist, you know, what a person should do when and if they are in fact injured on a construction site. I actually want to bring in right now one of the lead trial attorneys for Buttafuoco Associates. Shawn, can you hear us?
I can. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing well, Shawn. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here with Mark Freeley now and Shawn Alfano. They are the attorneys at Buttafuoco Associates. Now, Shawn, we're talking about construction sites, and at the point of where a worker does sustain a serious injury. What are some of these like recommended, maybe like a checklist of things that that person should do properly?
Well, look, a lot of times, just following up, I was listening to what Mark was saying, where people are concerned about keeping their job, and they don't want to be the squeaky wheel. They don't want to be the troublemaker. They don't want to get, you know, give this impression that they're a problem. So what we see many times in these cases is somebody gets hurt, something happens, they fall, they slip, they trip, and they walk it off. They, you know what, I'm going to walk it off. It's not a problem. You know, I'm going to take it easy for a half an hour. I'm getting close to the end of the shift anyway. My friend can cover me a little bit. I'm not going to make a report. You know, I'll be fine. I'll put a little ice on it. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be good to go. You know, and then they go home, and then what happens? It blows up. The knee, you know, all swells up, the shoulder, whatever it is. And and they have a big problem. They end up going to the hospital the next day, and the foreman, right, says, "What are you talking about? You know, nobody ever reported anything to me." So when you have an accident, you have to report it, right? I mean, you can't worry about being that squeaky wheel. You know, if it hurts enough that, you know, you have to stop working, even if it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes, it's, not likely to get better. If you can't work then, think what it's going to feel like tomorrow or the next day. So make a report. Very important. Follow up, go to the doctor. It hurts, right? If it's serious enough, you're going to go to the hospital. But if it's not serious enough to go to the hospital, go to your primary care doctor. So get that checked out. Check around for witnesses who was in the area. You might be working with, you might be working as a carpenter, and there's electricians who you don't really know. You see them on the job site. They're there that day. They're in the same area as you. They saw what happened, but you know what? They might be gone tomorrow. They might be gone next week. They might be done with their part of the project. So figure out who everybody is, who is around, who's the laborer, who's the electrician, the various trades that are there that you don't really know their names. You got to find out that information, because that will disappear as days and weeks go on. You got your cell phone with you. Snap a couple of photos. What was it? What was there an area that was unprotected and you stepped into a hole? You slipped on something. There was an open shaft. All kind of things that happen. Take a picture, or have your friend, if you're too injured, have one of your coworkers snap a picture. So that's the top things I would say. Report it, take photos, go to the doctor, figure out who the people are in the area that you might not know, might not be your coworker. You might be the only one there from your actual company on the floor, but there's 4 other people from different trades right in the area. Figure out who they are, get their names.
Yeah, that's really, before you go on, Rob, just one thing. Photos win cases. Juries understand photos. So important. How many cases, especially even when you're trying to describe what happened, why did it happen? Why is it not your fault? What caused the injury? Photos win cases. The conditions that existed, the hole in the floor, the broken ladder, the defective scaffold. Just this week, we signed up a very serious construction site accident case, and the client fell 25 feet and landed on cement. He was working on a foundation wall.
Wow.
And had no safety devices and fell off. Lucky for him, one of his co-workers took spectacular photos of the entire site. I mean, I couldn't ask for better evidence to win this person's case than those photos. And there's no disputing, what the conditions were at the time of the accident. And that's what they'll try to say. Well, it wasn't broken. It wasn't defective. The ladder was fine, and it's so hard to track that stuff down after the day of the accident. So like Shawn said, take out your cell phone. If you can't do it, ask a coworker. And if you can't get it that day for whatever reason, ask one of your coworkers. Listen, the next time you're on, the next day, snap some, text them to me. No one's got to know, but that's really important. And also, when it comes down to making the accident report with your employer or the GC superintendent, making sure they're putting down exactly how it happened correctly, because so many times that becomes an issue in the case. Well, the accident report doesn't say you fell because the ladder twisted. It just says, I fell off the ladder. And then they'll say, well, you fell off the ladder because you misstepped. You fell off the ladder because you lost your balance. No, I fell off the ladder because it twisted. Well, I told the foreman, but it's not in the report. Make sure when you're giving that report, you're telling why you fell off that ladder, why you fell off that scaffold. The photos and that initial accident report are a 1-2 punch when litigating these cases.
I want to make a point to just give our viewing audience some perspective here. When the attorneys are saying, to not be the squeaky wheel and to not really play hero, it's because the risk of really not doing this appropriately is much greater than anything else, any type of fallout that you could experience by bringing it to someone's attention. By not addressing the injury, number one, the injury could get worse, right? That's number one. The injury could get worse. And number two, I would imagine also that if you don't report it in a timely fashion, later on, if this injury gets worse, couldn't you lose the right to file if you wait too long?
Well, you're not going to lose. You got to wait a really long time to lose the right. But the problem is, you got to prove it, right? I mean, how do we know you didn't slip and fall at home, right? If you come 6 months later, I hurt my knee on the job. Really? When was that? 6 months ago? Because you haven't been on that job in 3 months. The job was over 3 months ago. You're on to a different one. So it's under the workers' compensation law, Mark, I think, is it 2 years that you have?
Yeah, for workers' compensation claim, you've got 2 years. And for the type of case that we handle, the lawsuit litigation for a general case is typically 3 years unless there's a municipality involved. So if there's, a local village, a town, a city, a state, there's certain time periods and notice of claims that are required. But if it's a private entity, a private subcontractor, a private building owner, we've got 3 years from the date of the accident. But, the insurance companies, we're following up what Shawn's saying, is that if you wait and you don't report it, listen, they love to make up situations in jurors' minds to plant the seeds of doubt about whether you were really injured from this accident, from this fall, from this thing falling on you.
Sure.
So you don't want to give them ammunition. They're going to have plenty of ammunition. They throw everything. Where's my everything? and then you don't want to have your job to be constantly defending all these frivolous theories that they're making up, right?
Yeah.
They're making up, well, what can we say? Well, we can say, it was 24 hours. It was 48 hours, He could have been lifting his bed at the house, moving furniture. He could have been working in the yard. He could have been doing this. How do we know he fell? He didn't report it. Unreported accidents are really, it's hit or miss. It's a big gamble. You're throwing the dice. So really, you got to report it immediately.
It's true. It's true, because then all of a sudden, that perception that is presented later on can become the juror's reality. And that will hurt, unfortunately, the injured victim there. Now, I know right now, because we are experiencing a very, very high rate of unemployment. A lot of people were furloughed or lost their job. Money's really tight. And there are certain areas in New York now that are starting to open up. One of them is the construction sites, which happens to also be a popular project for people to be able to, get a job for the day, a day laborer, where they're just paid cash. Now, what if someone who is hired for the day or the week or a project on a construction site, but they're paid off the books and they get injured? Is that person still able to have a case? Are they still protected?
Yeah, New York law goes out of its way to protect workers that are involved on construction sites. And that means any worker that's involved in the construction process, whether they're there for an hour or a day, it doesn't matter. They could be, it could be a lot of times people only need to be on the site for a very short amount of time. It could be a 3-month project, but their job might be a week or a day. Doesn't matter, even if it's just hours. If there was a problem there was a violation of the law that caused that accident, and that's something a lawyer needs to look at and determine, because there are a lot of laws that do apply to construction sites, then you're covered. So,
Mark, I've got a question. What if someone was injured on a construction project, right? Maybe on the front end of this pandemic, or maybe right before, and then as a result of the panic in various medical facilities, they did not get treatment, and now we're 3 months later. Is this someone that can still pursue having a case and still getting treatment under this case?
Yes, they can. The sooner they are able to document the pain, the problems, the issues they're having, the better. Because of COVID, they have a reasonable explanation that a jury, of course, would understand, I think, in any type of trial. People will remember this COVID period of time forever. So they'll understand that there was no way to get to a doctor. And there's many people that are not going to doctors without cases because they're afraid to get COVID by going to the doctor's offices. So I think that won't be an issue. And so just to get to the doctor, a lot of doctors now are doing virtual exams. So, to start the ball rolling right away, get a virtual exam, document the pain, the problems, the issues, let them know the history, very important. Well, what's the history? Histories are always important in cases. Shawn will tell you, if there's first thing those lawyers are looking for on the other side is a history that says something different than what your client's telling you, when they're bringing the case. So they're looking at the emergency room records. If there's no emergency room records, they're looking at the first doctor's office consult notes to say, fell off the boat while fishing. Not really a construction accident that we're claiming. So you want to make sure that you're giving the correct history to the doctor, saying, listen, I had an accident at work. I fell off a ladder because it twisted and it shifted and fell and I fell with it. And ever since then, I've had ankle pain. I've been living with it. I'm a tough construction worker. And then when I was going to go to the doctor, all of a sudden COVID hit. And now I've been living with the pain. I've been icing it. I've been doing some range of motion, stretching with it, but it's not getting better. And here I am to you today. So that's the best thing you can do. Get to a virtual appointment immediately. And then as soon as you feel safe enough and the doctor's offices are open, get a physical examination so they can document range of motion, nerve testing, things like that.
Before we close out the show, I just want to address some additional questions that came in here, if you guys don't mind. We have Cynthia who says, is contributory negligence of the worker a defense if he falls off a ladder or a scaffold?
Wow. That is a technical question. It involves various issues in the labor law, but the simple answer is no. Don't worry about that. What that means is the other side is going to try to blame the worker. They're going to say, the worker was negligent. It wasn't us. It wasn't anything that we did or we could have done or should have done. It was all the worker's fault. So the labor law in New York is set up to really get rid of that type of defense by the person running the job site. The responsibility falls on the general contractor, on the owner, on the people who are running the job. Doesn't fall on the worker. The worker just has to get their work done. The general contractor's got to make sure that they have the right equipment to get it done right and that everybody is doing the right thing.
Mark, I know you have extensive experience in this area of labor law. So for someone who maybe knows someone that was injured on a construction site, and I know, by the way, let me clear this up, it's not limited to just construction site accidents. Is that right? That's right. It's doing any type of work in the trades. The trades are the carpenters, the plumbers, the steam fitters, any type of trade. If you're doing a repair, an alteration, a demolition, do an extension. And normally, as long as it's not a 1 or 2 family house, if it's a commercial building, you're going to be protected doing that type of activity. That's the activity that's protected. Doesn't have to be a new construction, doesn't have to be a construction site. So it's very wide open. So I would say that anyone doing any type, and window washers as well. Dan will remind me window washers. But anybody doing that type of work under any situation should always reach out if they have a serious injury and just run it past us, because sometimes you might think no, and also get a second opinion, because a lot of lawyers don't specialize in this. Yeah. And I've seen it where people have been told, no, you don't have a case. And they come to me, I'm like, who did you talk to? You have an amazing case, and we're able to help them because we understand who's covered and under what circumstances. Yeah, I think you make a really good point. I want to just again highlight what you just said, which is, lawyers are very similar to doctors in this one respect, is that, you would never go to your podiatrist if you have a heart problem. And, with lawyers, it's the same thing, in my opinion. I'm not a lawyer, right? So I can say this is if I have got an injury, a legal injury issue, I'm not going to go to a person who deals with child custody, right? Or like a family law or a criminal lawyer. These are lawyers that are specific to an area, who know the law as it relates to the situation that this particular person is. In this case, construction is even more specific than just general injury, which is why I think it's important for people to try to find a lawyer who has extensive experience in construction injury law. So for a question for both of you, for right now, anyone who's watching this, who either knows someone who was recently injured on a construction project, or they themselves were injured in a construction injury, has a construction injury, what should they look for when hiring a lawyer? I mean, obviously everyone should call you guys without a doubt, but what are some questions, right, that they should ask? You guys did a great job of outlining, the safety issues on construction sites, but now what should they be asking the attorneys who they're looking to hire?
Well, I think you have to make sure that the firm itself knows how to handle construction site accident cases, and that they have a track record of success doing it. So, I mean, they should be able to tell you, should be able to go on their website and look at the types of cases they've handled to see if they are construction cases, not just trip and falls or dog bites or car accident cases, because there's plenty of lawyers that handle those, but may not know anything about construction site litigation. And I see a lot of times there are firms that will advertise for construction site cases. They may not actually handle them. They'll refer them out to another firm. So you see that a lot, where they'll try to get the case in the door, but then they'll end up farming it out to somebody else, and you don't really know who your lawyer is. And I think, especially with a serious construction site accident case where your life is really, and your ability to earn a living in your chosen profession is, up in the air, you have to have a relationship with the lawyer that is handling your case, and know that they're going to be, that lawyer and that firm are standing behind you, holding your hand all the way to the finish line.
Shawn, is there anything that you'd like to add in closing as it relates to construction-related injuries?
Yeah, well, I mean, just to follow up with Mark, he's absolutely correct. Look, these types of cases are very serious. When people, our clients that we have that get hurt on construction sites, have really horrible injuries. Typically, they're electrocuted. They're crushed by objects that are falling. They're falling down elevator shafts. There multiple broken bones, spine surgeries. Concussions, brain bleeding. I mean, horrible, horrible injuries. Their lives have been permanently changed. They need to be with a lawyer that is going to go on this journey with them. And they're going to have so many questions. They're going to need so much help almost on a daily basis. And our staff is set up and prepared to do this and does this every day for people who are in the same situations as they are. That's what you need to look for. You're not going to get helped by somebody who's just trying to grab a case and send it to someplace else. You don't know who you're getting. When you come to us, you're going to be getting full service 24/7 until we bring it to the finish line, and we get amazing results when we get to the finish line. And that's what you need.
Yeah, I mean, we get to see, especially since we started this show, the incredibly, kind and encouraging words that people post. And we've got someone just, posting something now as it relates to their experience with you guys. This is Elizabeth, and she says, lawyers with integrity, hard workers, even administrators. That means the entire staff are very respectful. Anyone using them will find it a pleasure to work with this. I think she meant to say firm, not germ. But, thank you, Elizabeth, for saying that. It really means a lot, I know, to the entire staff to be able to hear back from clients to hear these kind of words. But yeah, I mean that right there, I think, is testament to the great work that you guys do, is just hearing from your clients. And I know Mark recently just signed up a very, very serious labor law case. I think it was last week, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, and I was just doing, and another thing is that, Spanish speaking, we have a staff. Our firm is blessed to have an amazing staff with multiple people who are very fluent in Spanish. My secretary, Kathy, specifically. And so she has been speaking with this client now for the last week, every day.
Mm.
And there's not many firms that you get that type of personal attention with. And she reports back to me every day, any questions I need. But I am anxious to meet the client, and he's anxious to meet with me. And so we've been trying to set up a Zoom conference, but unfortunately, he doesn't even have an email address. So we worked out a WhatsApp conference today, and just before coming on with you, Rob, I had
You're so tech savvy, Mark.
Oh yeah. But I had a 45-minute WhatsApp video conference with Kathy and my client. I was able to put him at ease, explain the whole process slowly and thoroughly to him, so he understood the workers' compensation and the litigation case and how they're different, but how they're interwoven, and told him exactly what we're going to do for him, that we're helping him line up doctor's visits and help him with transportation issues to get to the doctors. And there's a whole host of things that we're doing. But I told him, listen, we can have a WhatsApp meeting every day if you want. I mean, the last thing I want is to have one of my clients whose life now is totally upside down. He's worried about how to pay his rent come June 1st.
Wow.
So he needs to know that there's someone there working that's going to be honest with him, who's going to have answers, who's going to take the time to explain everything, so he feels like he's got some control over the situation. Because the worst thing is when you don't have money coming in, you're going to doctors, and you're in pain, and you don't feel like there's any control left in your life. You feel like it's spiraling out of control. Yep. I was just talking to another construction accident client yesterday. He texted me. He's like, Mark, I'm in a panic. Please call. So I called him. Hour on the phone yesterday. Just going, do I still have a case because of COVID? What's going to happen? And calm down.
Yep.
His name is Angel. And I went through it. I held his hand.
They want reassurance.
That's what you got to do.
Yep.
But you need a lawyer that's going to hold your hand.
Yep.
And it's going to be there. And it's going to I responded to his text within 3 minutes. He's like, Mark, I can't believe you called me already. And I don't want him hanging. I don't want him feeling like that, because he shouldn't feel like that. We got his back. Yep. And I told him, at the end of the day, you're going to do very well. You're going to be taken care of. We're going to win your case. Yep. Because I know we are. And, we're actually in the process of making a motion for summary judgment to win liability on his case as we speak.
Incredible.
I was meeting with Ellen yesterday and went over the case with her for 2 hours at my kitchen table. So we're rocking and rolling still, even despite COVID,
Sure.
But people need to know that lawyers not only know what they're doing, but they care.
They genuinely care. Yeah.
And so I think that's something unique about Buttafuoco Associates. I listen, I overhear conversations that Shawn has with clients, and it's like a running joke in the office. The clients can't get Shawn off the phone. But you know what? Because Shawn cares. I mean, really, he does. I've been working with Shawn for 20 years. I mean, and Shawn's a good friend of mine. Yeah. And I see the level of attention that him and his secretary, Kathy, give to clients. Karen. And it's bar none. They just take the time, and it doesn't matter what else. He will put the time in with the client to make sure that they feel comfortable and that they know they're being taken care of.
Well, because normally the experience is the opposite of that. And Shawn, that's very true what he's saying about you, because normally the experience that clients have and the complaint that clients of other law firms have is that, number one, I can't get a hold of my attorney. And when I do, they rush me off the phone. And, with you guys, it is the complete opposite. You do genuinely care about the person, not just the case. So that is definitely something that is wonderfully unique about Buttafuoco Associates. I'm going to go ahead and put your email addresses up here. And Shawn, in your closing statement, anything else you'd like to share?
Again, as I was listening to what Mark was talking about just a moment ago, it did strike me. We do have a number of people on staff who are multilingual. We have several people who speak Spanish and service our Spanish-speaking clients. One thing that is a concern for many of our clients, especially who are working in dangerous areas on construction sites, is their papers might not be up to speed. They might have some issues with their visa. They might have overstayed something. They might be on appeal. They might be illegal. They might be working under somebody else's social security number. Who knows? There's all kind of things, and they're so afraid to come forward in this climate, especially. Do not be afraid. We will help you. You can have a case. You can get justice. You can get fully compensated, even if you are undocumented. All right, that's not going to be an issue. Call us. We will help you. Don't worry about that.
And Mark, you have the virtual floor for your closing remarks.
Well, my closing remarks are going to be off topic, because I want to introduce you to my foster dog arriving Saturday. Her name is Bella. And I'm getting her on Saturday from the Last Chance Animal Rescue transport van that's coming. And I would just encourage people to think about adoption. There's amazing dogs out there. I've been working with Last Chance for 7 years. I do pro bono, all the pro bono legal work for them. When we don't have COVID here, I actually run adoption events every Saturday with my daughter. But Bella is coming. My dogs don't know it yet. Storm and Sarah don't know yet. Hopefully they'll be happy with the visitor. With the demand for dogs these days, she probably won't be with me so long. But sad story about Bella is that she had a home and the owner died and she was left. So she's 2 years old, about 40 pounds. And I just heard that she's very sweet, loves to cuddle, follows you around the house, and loves people and dogs. So my daughter and I are very excited to welcome Bella on Saturday. So if you have any interest in adopting a dog, you can reach out to me, or you can visit lcarescue.org.
Let me see if I can go ahead and pull up here. Hold on. I think I can do this. Let me see here. I'm going to see if I can pull up their website so that people can actually see it as a reference. Let's see what I got here. Yep, I'll be able to do it. Bear with me, everyone. We are on with Mark Freeley, and we are also on with Shawn Alfano, and they are some of the leading attorneys at Buttafuoco Associates, and we've been talking about construction site injuries. There we go. And
there it is.
And Mark just graciously mentioned Last Chance Animal Rescue, and he showed us a picture of the beautiful dog that he's going to be. Are you fostering this dog?
Yeah, foster. I'm going to foster Bella. So she arrives on Saturday. I'll go pick her up, and then she'll be at my house for a week under quarantine, and then she'll be ready to be adopted by a great family. We do a good background search. We make sure the dogs are going to the right family, and we have cats as well. And I've been doing this now for a long time. Since the third week in March, I think that we've saved over 150 plus dogs.
Wow, that's incredible. So if anyone is interested in not just adopting, but also perhaps fostering, is that an opportunity as well, Mark?
Always. Yep. Foster. We always take on new fosters. The more fosters we have, the more dogs we can bring up and save.
So there you go. So if you're someone who maybe has some extra time right now and some resources where you can foster an animal, I highly recommend reaching out to Mark and linking up with Last Chance Animal Rescue. But also, if you'd like to adopt, I would recommend starting here before you go anywhere else. It really is an incredible community, and they do have wonderful, healthy. I know you guys do a background check, and I know these animals are healthy. So I highly recommend everyone at least starting with. So, all right.
I appreciate it, Rob.
Thank you guys so much once again for joining us on Ask Your Injury Lawyers. Just want to show the website one more time. This is 1-800-NOW-HURT.com. I know we covered a lot as it relates to construction site injuries, but I want everyone to know that they don't necessarily have to just memorize everything we talked about, but they can also go to our website, 1-800-NOW-HURT.com, where there's a tremendous amount of resources as it relates to construction accidents. Simply go to 1-800-NOW-HURT.com, and you can just toggle through here and find a tremendous amount of resources. But the best resource that you can have is also speaking with an attorney, and both Mark and Shawn are available resources, I know, to the community. I know how much wonderful work they've done. So Mark and Shawn, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, and stay healthy, everyone.
Yes, absolutely, guys. So for our audience, thank you so much for tuning in to Ask Your Injury Lawyers, where today we got to sit down virtually with both Mark Freeley and Shawn Alfano. If anyone has any questions, please reach out to Buttafuoco Associates at 1-800-NOW-HURT.com. Be happy, be safe, and be healthy, everyone. Take care.